All right, we're live. Hey, Axel, good to see you
Hey,
here. Wait, give me a moment. Let me just mute the Twitch channel that I have open. But yeah, welcome back to a drawing table, everyone, where we will be chatting about art and creating it in a chill and casual environment. I am your host, Jourdan Tuffan.
and I'm Ken Darmadi. And today we're gonna continue our sketch that we started uh, from our pilot episode. To just jog or get things up to speed, get you guys up to speed. We were doing what were we doing, Jordan?
Wait, let me pull it up actually. I do have it right here. So during
Yeah,
our pilot episode, we decided to start on a sketch where we generated three words from a random word generator just to keep us on our toes. And the three words that we got were survivor, merchant, and dealer. And we plan to actually do an architecture sketch revolving around those three words. So this is the mind map that Ken and I had created for it. Well, at least I created for it.
yeah, we did our own
Yes.
separate mind maps.
Well, unfortunately, as well, during our first podcast, I think we bit off a little bit more than we could chew, and we ended up talking, or at least dividing our attention between talking and drawing. And I personally didn't get too many sketches done, but
Yeah,
what I ended up coming up with, or at least the idea I had behind the three keywords that I had gotten, was that there was this civilization that have survived an animal stampede, or actually survived in an environment where new predators had come about, of giant carnivores or even giant animals, and they fashioned the architecture out of the remnants of the animals that they have slain. So that's where the word survivor comes in. And perhaps in those stores, they also sell things like the illegal goods, such as the ivory, maybe from one of the creatures, and they sell it, hence the word dealer. So, what was it that you came up with, Ken?
all right, so let's look at the mind map again. Um, for my piece, it's it was like a war veteran that
Mm-hmm.
became some sort of cult leader. So the survivor is the war veteran, and then he becomes a cult leader that sells like medicines, marijuana, and all that stuff, and
Right.
he deals drugs, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, something like that. And the setting is something more realistic. So I had an idea where he sells it at like an abandoned hospital, so to get
Mm-hmm.
like some sort of contrast between his story and the location itself. Um, yeah, so this is a rough sketch that I had.
Nice.
This is like an entrance, the hospital garage
Mm-hmm.
thingy, and then he's using an ambulance as a stage for him to do like I don't know, his cult leader things, I
To
suppose.
preach, to preach to the
Yeah,
masses.
I guess, or just hypnotize them or something.
I see.
But yeah,
If I
yeah.
remember correctly, you had your sketch pushed to an even further level, right?
No, it was this much. I couldn't focus during our
Oh,
pilot
right,
episode because, as you said, we were talking and then drawing. And
right.
that wasn't such a good idea because we're not used to it yet.
Yeah. Oh, and for some reason, I've actually noticed that our Twitch overlay isn't on. But well, no
Yeah,
matter.
that's
I think we'll just roll along with it. But in any case, yeah, we're just going to jump into it this time so that we don't ramble on too much at the start. But of course, let's not forget to wish you all a happy new year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since the last podcast. I think it was before the new year, so hopefully all of you had a great one. and that this year will be a year of uh, renewed ambition and also goal setting and achievements as well. And well, we as well of the at the Drawing Table podcast also hope to, or not just hope, we will be making an effort to stream a lot more often and bring a lot of new and exciting content for you all. So we hope to have
Definitely.
your continued support. All right, without further ado, I think it'll be good for us to jump on a sketch.
I've already started.
Right. Well, since you've already started, Ken, why don't you enlighten us with your thought process of what you have so far?
Okay, so this is actually I've done a little bit of work just now. This is what I started with, and I think the scale of the ambulance is too large. It's too big for the location itself. So the first thing that I have to do is, uh, well, what's there? Is make it smaller. So in relation to a person, it makes much more sense in terms of scale.
Mhm.
Oh, and if you guys have any questions, please just post on the chat. I have a second screen where I monitor all the chat.
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm not as rich as Ken, so I only have one. So he'll be the one fielding the question.
Yes. So I'm richer than Jordan.
Rich, rich,
Rich boy.
Ken.
That was a joke.
Why, thank you, Tony.
Oh, hello, Tony. And
Well, I
hello,
would dare
Keen.
say, oh, Keen. Hey, awesome. Hey, Keen. Welcome to the podcast. And I would even dare say that I'm the more handsome half of the duo. But
Thanks.
anyways, as you were saying, Ken.
Yeah, what was I saying?
I don't know. You're talking about your piece.
Oh, yeah. I think that was it. I was just
okay.
fixing the scale.
Right.
I think I should get into the color and mood pretty soon because
Mm-hmm.
honestly,
Already.
yeah, because honestly, I don't want to spend too much on this one piece.
Right.
As personally, I think it's better to get more mileage than
Right.
like getting a perfect image, you know.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like with my piece, there was only one sketch that I ended up that I quite liked, which is the idea of the skull of a bison or buffalo
Yeah.
turned upside down to form into a doorway.
Yes, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the other ones I had weren't as successful. And another idea that I had as well, maybe it's like a giant jawbone of like a crocodile-like creature that has been reformed into maybe a doorway opening. And instead of that being the end of the architecture, maybe I could actually use that as an entrance into something bigger. So if we are to go along with the idea of using the bones as part of the structure, maybe the body of the architecture is also created from the body of the creature itself.
Mm.
So imagine that there's like a pole pillar of support here.
No, I think-
Somehow they connect.
I think it would be interesting to see that they use parts from the carcass itself as, I don't know, like maybe the skin as leather or
Yeah, that would be nice, I think.
yeah, like reusing parts of the body as
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
supplies.
think that's a cool idea. Because a lot of like tribes as well use
Yeah, exactly.
hides. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how it's connecting right now, but let's roll along with it and see how it goes. Oh, and All right, let me read the chat as
Yes,
well.
this is the third stream, but the second episode, because
Yes.
our first
So
one was our pilot episode where we were
yeah.
testing stuff.
Oh, awesome. Looks like Bima and Tony already know each other. So
Yeah, I think they
That's
talk
great.
quite a lot on the internet.
Ah, I see. Which one of you guys first reached out to the other one? I have my guesses. But yeah, so going back to my sketch as well, I quite like the shape actually.
Yeah.
I think it still goes along with the whole motif of head as the skull and then the body as the rib. So it's almost like a metaphor of sorts. Well, I guess that would also lead to the end of the conclusion or the logic where the toilet is on the rear end as well. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to obviously illustrate that part into great detail. But hey, I mean, I think that can be part of a good design where your designs take on a more metaphorical kind of, what do you call it? It embodies a metaphor.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
and
I'm a bit confused. Like, which part are you talking about?
oh, I'm talking about, well, the head is the entrance. In the same way, like our head or mouth is the entrance to one of the entrances to our bodies, and then the ribs being this main supporting structure that houses the most important parts, and then the rear end being where all of the refuse goes out.
Damn, so deep.
I know.
So well thought of.
What's yours, Ken? What sort of deep metaphors have you hidden in yours?
Oh.
Okay, I'll move on to another one.
That's a tough question because I just wing everything.
I see. So I guess you're going for a much more simple design, I suppose.
Yeah, I just want to go with something straightforward so I don't have to just. Sorry. See, it's so difficult to talk while drawing.
I know.
But yeah, actually at the moment I'm trying to expand the location itself and maybe add a few people like bowing to the guy.
Right. So you're already going to like a full set design.
Yeah, want to speed things up a bit with this one.
Right. I'll be honest, like, I'd love to already skip to that stage as well, but I'm still not too settled on the design. I'm getting closer. Just the fact that I have more than one sketch that seems to be getting into the right direction, I'm happy here.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that. So maybe in this case, rather than the ribs, maybe it's like the horns, that are used to be hold up something. So it could be a little bit more simple, I guess. Yeah, so there could be like different body parts or bone parts that are being used as well. Yeah, I think I'll take on your suggestion of using a little bit more of the body parts of the other. I'm probably gonna focus more on the shapes right now rather than being too literal about it, because I tend to find that if I overthink the realistic side of things, you can say, it tends to freeze up my design a bit.
Yeah.
Do you experience that as well, Ken?
Yeah, because I mean I think it depends on the kind of project that you're doing, right? Because I think for my personal piece, I prefer to go with something that's more, in a way, more magical. In the sense that not everything has to be really well thought of, because that's usually reserved for my like professional work, because I don't know, I tend to think more when doing professional work compared to my personal work somehow. Like I'd rather just have fun with my own personal work or pieces.
Alright, so what's your so speaking of personal work, let's I guess delve into that a little bit more. Like, what kind of things do you usually focus on when it comes to personal work? Because I know that there's some people that do it as a way of learning, and some people also use it as a way of just relaxation. So they don't focus too much on like hard thinking and just something that feels comforting to them, you know.
Yeah,
So how do you tend to approach it, Ken?
I think it's a little bit of both, but at the moment I use it more as a learning tool
Mm,
because I have some big goals for this year. We
right.
can talk about that later.
If we have time.
Yeah, but yeah, but sometimes I do it just for fun because when professional work gets, I don't know, stuck or boring, I just
Right.
tend to doodle around and then do really silly stuff like the major dickhead.
The
Things
what?
major dickhead.
Oh.
Yeah, things
I
like
don't think everyone really knows what you're talking about, Ken.
that.
In
Yeah.
case you didn't, in case you guys didn't know, Ken loves to draw dicks in his spare time
Wow.
to wind down.
Thanks for smearing my reputation. No, that's
I don't
Jordan.
I, I don't have to do too much to smear your reputation, Ken.
Yeah, because you have a lot of poop.
What?
You have a lot
A
of
lot
poop
of
on your head.
poop.
Yeah.
Alright, so speaking of head, well, I don't know if that's a good transition. Actually, I'm thinking about maybe making a frame that's made out of like different parts of the body. So what if it's like horns, and then maybe like different parts of rib cages fashioned to make the walls of sorts, and they're being you know, held together by string of sorts.
I can
And
show
then maybe
you
there's
the
like
major
pie
dickhead.
that can accompany how I don't know. It's supposed to be a PG-13 stream.
It's
Save
it's
that.
it's safe for work.
Save that for your Patreon. Ken likes to render his dicks very realistically,
Yeah.
with all of the wrinkles and whatnot.
I think you've seen this one before, B1. But yeah.
Hmm. Oh, you already showed him? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have to show it to everyone.
You only show your major dickheads to selected people.
Yeah.
Alright, so I mean so going back to a sketch, I mean I kinda like this, but at the same time it still feels a bit naked. So I'll probably just do one or two sketches at the most and then move on, as well as I don't want to run the risk of overdoing it. So let's see. Ooh, actually I still like the idea of the big horns. So what if I made that as the support for something? But yeah, if you guys have any questions relating to what we've been talking about, and also anything else that's loosely related, feel free to just toss them into the chat. It would be good to just, bounce off some of the conversation with you guys as well. Since it is the drawing table, we invite everyone to, have a chat with us. We don't want it to be as if we're sitting on a stage and pedestal
Yeah,
preaching down to you like Ken's cult leader in his piece.
exactly. Don't be like this guy.
See, Ken, your piece is taking on a metaphor, or at least, a larger picture.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
it's
Bima.
just
But we should
it's just
stop talking about dicks.
Ooh, interesting shapes. Hmm, hmm. What if? Hmm. Let me look at my reference, which I do have here on the side. So if you guys see me just not really doing much, it's because I'm looking at my reference.
You mean in a painting, Tony? Tony's asking, how do you guys handle noise slash
No.
rest distribution?
How do you guys rest distribution? That is definitely a bit of a challenge. Like, oh, I guess in relation to my pieces, at least let's just say architecture, since that's what we're doing now. I tend to like have my areas of rest or noise uh, as the focal point. And what I mean by that is I choose either one of the two. And let's just say in this case, I would dare say that the skull is actually a bit noisier in terms of detail, density, and distribution in comparison to the rest. So because I've chosen that as my area of detail density, everything else will be much more simple in comparison. And how I also like to plan it out as well is that I create these masks of sorts sometimes where I color in the area of detail density. So let's just say in this case it would be mostly the bone and probably here. And I'll notice that with outside of those shaded areas, the areas of rest complement it quite nicely. Whereas this one, for example, I don't think is quite as successful because if I had to color in all of the areas of rest and detail, it actually pretty much is everything. And no, it's not that it can't be fixed, but it just feels a bit too noisy. I'd rather have something that is much more bold in terms of statement. So what? How do you deal with it, Ken?
I have to agree with everything you said. But yeah, to no. I mean, it's true. But
Okay.
let's see. I think with noise and rest, it's all about contrast, right? So it's either you have noise as your focal point or rest as your focal point, because um, it having noise as the focal point can actually work instead of just the other way around. So
Mm-hmm.
just I guess the tip would be having an idea of the message or the story that you wanna send to the viewer, and then
Mm-hmm.
think of ways of which way would be better. Would it show the message better if the focal point is the noisy area, or maybe
Yeah.
it's vice versa? And in
Yeah.
relation to my painting, I'm
Mm-hmm.
planning to keep the area behind the cult leader less noisy and everything else very
Mm.
noisy, because I want the place to look like a mess.
Mm.
It's an abandoned hospital and it's also used as a gathering for these cult and hobos and people like that. They gather here. So
Yes.
I want the focal point to be this guy. So I'm gonna make some sort of like a backlight, a strong rim light behind him.
Mm.
It's also like a message that he's more divine or holy than
Mm.
the rest, because he's bathed in light.
Mm. Right. I guess that light and color can be another device to control detail density, wouldn't it, Ken?
Yeah, exactly. And atmosphere.
Mm. Although, on a personal note, I wouldn't over rely on it too much. Because if it works even from the simplest stage, let's just say line work, I tend to find it works better as you layer on complexity onto it.
Yeah.
If you imagine the base as a strong foundation, if you have it strong, anything you layer on top of it will support the weight.
Yeah, I think the
But
shape.
if you have a weak yeah, sorry.
The shape needs to be strong first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you have a weak foundation, anything you stack on top of it will only cause the whole piece to collapse on itself, pretty much. So I think it's very important to properly plan things out and make sure everything works even from the simplest stages. This one's kind of decent actually in terms of the shape. It's a little bit more interesting. What do you think, Ken? So it's like two horns and then
Yeah. Yeah, it looks interesting. But
But
it's very exaggerated. I mean,
see.
it's not bad, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like it's just a little bit too exaggerated to me.
Right.
Maybe if you somehow relate it to like an actual piece of bone from an animal, that would make
Right.
it work better.
Mm.
Because right now it just feels like a cool shape without relation
Right.
to the real world somehow.
Right. Right. That's fair enough. Hmm. You know what? I'll just do one more sketch, and if that still doesn't work, I'm just gonna choose one and go with it. Because I don't want to lag behind. So let's just say I still like this crocodilian thingy. So probably
Yeah, that's nice.
alright, so let's see. Any more questions? Okay,
No, the chat's kind of quiet.
yeah, it's been quite quiet recently, hasn't it?
Where's the New Year spirit?
Yeah.
So weird. We were talking about getting our spirit up for this New Year.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, considering how I spend my New Year's holidays,
What did
I'll
you
be
do?
honest, I'm quite surprised that right now I have the energy to do the podcast.
Nice.
What I ended up doing, for those of you that haven't, that don't know yet, is that I've been chugging away on a contest entry actually. I'm sure some of you have heard of it, which is Art War 3, but hosted by CubeBrush and Axel actually, who is in the chat earlier. I don't know if he still is also participating. So we've both, yeah, been working on that, and I've been chugging on that over the holidays.
Nice. That's a good way to spend the holidays.
Yeah, definitely.
See you later, Tony.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining the stream, Tony, and send our regards to your wife.
See you again on the next stream, hopefully.
Yes. But yeah, it's just been really exhausting working on the contest entry, Ken.
Yeah. I know.
I've barely had any time of rest since like the holidays, except for Christmas Day itself actually, and probably the night of New Year's when I spent time with my wife and also friends.
It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. The deadline is this Sunday, so or tomorrow. So straight after the podcast, I'll just be um, back on the grind.
You can do it.
Thanks, Ken. I mean, you've been pretty busy yourself over the New Year's, haven't you?
Yeah, because I just moved to a new house, and when you move to a new place, there's a lot of unexpected things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I wish I could do more work, but it, it's just weird because before I moved, I was still living with my parents, right? And
Mm-hmm.
back then, it felt like everything was manageable in terms of schedule. But
Mm-hmm.
now with me living alone with my wife, everything is just being thrown all over, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just having quite a tough time managing my own time.
I see.
So yeah, hopefully I can get back to my own flow really soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, same goes for me as well. I would like to spend more time focusing on the podcast and bringing new content as well. We've actually got quite a few ideas for future episodes that we're both really excited to do.
Mhm.
And well, one of them that I'll be doing very soon is definitely to get a new microphone and webcam. And Bima also has said in the chat as well, like the old saying, there's always room for a podcast. And
Wow.
I'm sure he would know that better than us.
Yeah.
It's really quite admirable how you manage to stay on top of that and even your personal work, Bima.
Yeah. It's very inspiring.
Mm-hmm. And he also said, ayo Ken, curhat lebih banyak dong.
Like, what do you want me to talk about?
Your new house,
The new
maybe
house.
your problems with settling in and how you manage to deal with it.
I don't think I've dealt with it. I don't know. It's just a different type of experience, and I don't have much to say yet because I'm still trying to figure things out myself. Artist life after marriage. That would
Oh,
actually be an interesting topic for a podcast. Like we could try
yeah.
inviting a few guests that
Yeah, just
just
all of the married
yeah, yeah,
artists we have.
yeah.
And then maybe there should be like a chart of productivity like before marriage and after marriage.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Will it go downwards or will it go upwards?
Probably downwards.
Speaking from personal experience, yeah,
Yeah, because no, I'm serious because as a person, I don't want to focus too much on my own work. I want to spend time with my family.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare I just think it's. I mean, work is important, and having a goal, a career goal, is important. But I think family is just as important, or if not more important than that.
Mm.
I think you're the same
Yeah.
as me, right?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm just giving you a tough time.
I know.
But yeah, that's definitely the case for me as well. Although I will say it's very easy for me to get so engrossed in my work I forget about things,
Mhm.
such as this contest entry, for example. I have been, well, not neglecting. I've actually told my wife about it, and she's been very supportive actually, even giving me the space, the time. And one of the advantages of having a wife as well is that she can help take care of the house and cooking while I focus on my own works. So
Males
that
sih.
is nice. Hah?
Males sih.
Iya nih. Iya dong. I mean, I yeah, I guess you can say gotta take advantage of what you have already.
Wah, I'm gonna tell Sophie.
She was probably gonna listen to it, but later on. But no, yeah, I guess that goes to the topic of how both can have. It has its pros and cons, but I will say overall it definitely has its pros.
More pros.
Yeah, a lot more pros, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a lot more fun after marriage.
Yeah, I mean, also when I'm like in a
You know what?
crying heap in the corner of the room because my eyes are going well, she's comforting. And how she also eyes well, so you can understand what I'm going through.
What? Why no? Be my saying
What?
no.
No, no to what?
Yeah, I was asking.
Know that my wife has been supportive of me.
Wow.
Will. Okay, this is getting a bit disjointed. Alright, you know what? I'm going to move on with my sketch soon. This feels very disjointed. It's just crocodile mouth that leads to like the boat.
Great design.
I don't know actually. It's not that bad, but it's somehow feeling strange. Maybe I'll cut it off a little bit because it's a little bit long.
Ooh, maybe the dome is like a storage for feces.
Oh my god, why is it so big then? Why can't that be like the entrance of the shop, Ken? Why did you have to go there?
I mean, that's what you said, right? It goes from the mouth to the.
Yeah, I was half kidding. I mean, it's a nice idea, but
See, it's a nice idea. You said it.
yeah, but I don't know. It just feels like one big toilet. I don't. Just seems like they're like feces. You know? Oh, you know what? It's not too bad. I wanted. Ah, okay. Ooh, yeah, it's been going black for a while. I'm not sure why.
That's weird.
Yeah, ooh boy, that's not good. And what's worse that wish, I hope that
You
my
mean your
podcast
computer?
doesn't double screen, which happened. Yeah, yeah, my computer. You know what? This isn't my strongest design, but just for the sake of a learning lesson, not all of our sketches can be the best. And I'll just move on with it. But you know what? Let me ask you, Ken. Which one of these sketches do you think are most interesting, or I should move forward with?
Okay.
I'll probably remove this one since it's a repetition.
Kind of like the top right, actually.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, top right for me.
Oh, okay.
Which one do you like the most?
I don't know. I like the crocodile, but the ball at the end looks strange. Hmm.
Interesting.
I'm gonna be a bit. Maybe it's also because of the reference images I have, which make it look a little. You know what? Let me try one more solution. I'm just stubborn like that. So maybe a stilt house built on top of bones. I mean, yeah.
Huh.
Could might be interesting.
Oh, I think there's a village in India where they built huge houses on top of stilts.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Forgot,
that could be a cool
forgot
idea. Maybe
where.
that's like the defense mechanism, right? Maybe there's like spikes at the bottom where it prevents all of the things from charging. Why does it look like a box now? It looks so strange. You know what? Let me do something else. So maybe, I have an idea. So maybe it's like stilt houses, but then it's built on top of this. It's dome shape. Let me try easily. Select it like this. Or it's also rib cages, or a crocodile head here. Yes, this could work.
What?
It looks like a crocodile served up on like a medieval dining table. Hey, it's not a bad idea. And then like on the other end is like another crocodile head. You see, I mean, the shapes are kind of interesting. And then maybe the front is the combination of the shape that you chose. Yes, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that looks kind of interesting.
Well, you know what? I'll take that, Ken. It's not glaring praise, but kind of interesting.
I mean, I like the idea. It looks like crocodile served on a platter or something like that. Yeah.
There should be like a giant sphere here, giant apple. Yeah, I like the idea. The bottom being faced with specks, so that outriders don't go near it. Maybe it's in a swamp area, Ken.
Hmm. What do you think of my value structure?
Ah, wait, I'll get to that. Wait, you know what? I like this latest sketch that I have. That's interesting. Let me look at yours now. Yeah, I think it's working out. You probably need a little extra like hitting the front, but you're probably gonna add that later. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I'm gonna add like
upon a
spotlight
squint
on
read,
this guy.
it reads quite well.
Something
And my podcast has been going black quite often.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, it's gone now.
Yeah, I think so too. In any case, we are nearing the end of our podcast. We're not going to be streaming for as long today, just so we don't bore you guys too much.
Yeah,
But we are.
sorry, go
What?
on, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say we're going to be opening up Q&A soon, so it's like anything really. So while we are gonna continue our sketches, so if anyone has anything at all, please do let us know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're planning on keeping the podcast under 1 hour,
Yeah.
and let me know. Well, let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, if you would like actually a longer podcast or you prefer it nice and short.
Yeah. We think that 1 hour is a sweet spot, but if you
Yeah.
guys want more, let us know.
Yes.
We'll consider it.
We here at the Drawing Table podcast are democracy, so we will cater to what the people want. this is interesting, but I'm not really liking how repeated the stilts are looking. So maybe I can vary the shapes like this, Ken. So there's like arches or like struts that are shaped like this.
I see.
Man, it is difficult to design while talking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if it's like a subject matter that I'm not too familiar with.
Should we
Yes.
keep sketching or should we open the floor for Q&A, which I mean dedicate
Yeah,
section for Q&A?
Well, the thing is, if no one's asking, we might as well sketch. But if anyone has questions, please let us know right now. We have about 15 minutes left. Or perhaps even better, we'll ask a question to the audience. What if we pose the question of what kind of content would people love to see more regularly on the podcast?
Yeah.
Perhaps it's something we've never done before or something we have done before. In either case, we'd love to know. We do have some ideas of what we will be doing. But yeah, just want to gauge the audience interest. So maybe like this with some spikes. Yeah, this is quite interesting. What do you think of this design, Ken? Maybe it's like the, I don't know, Toraja houses where they have these things in front of their houses.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like bone trophies of like smaller animals.
Yeah.
What if there's something else on top as well?
Maybe. Maybe.
This
What?
is
Wow.
it's quite nice, right? No?
You can try. I think
I am trying.
maybe. I'm not sure how big a person would be in the house.
That's true. Oh, we actually do have a question.
Oh, okay.
Or at least some suggestion. What about the and Bima says, what about the idea where Ken sketch over George's design and vice versa? Hey, that is a good idea. We have done that on the pilot episode, but I did enjoy that. And Ryan asks, would like to know how you guys do to make yourself hyped up with the boring project. Well, I can start off with that.
Please do.
Well, the thing is, it depends. If I'm doing it for a client, don't have much of a choice, and just the thought that it's my reputation on the line, or maybe even the fact that if I don't do it, I don't get paid or get fired is enough of a motivation to at least push through. Or when it comes to personal projects, I think if you really are bored, I don't see anything wrong with actually stopping on your piece and moving somewhere else. And sometimes you do come back with fresher eyes, and of course sometimes you do get bored of it, or at least you don't see much value in it anymore and you move on, which can happen. But I would say it's yeah, it's also just the idea that maybe if you're struggling to finish personal work, even just finishing it can be a challenge in itself, and I think you might experience the confidence of being able to say, you know what, I normally can't finish a piece, but now I can. And once you keep that streak up, it becomes easier to do it.
Um,
If that makes sense.
boring project.
So what are your thoughts,
I
Ken?
think I think as with professional work, it's just as you said. If I don't do it, then I won't get paid or my reputation will be ruined. So it's some kind of a motivation for me to finish and do my work.
Mm-hmm.
But with personal work, if I don't feel like it, I usually just drop it.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's forcing you to finish it. If you,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like the idea, then go for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, you can try. You can still try finishing it and see whether you can like it or not. I mean, it's always good to finish things up.
Mm. I
So
think
it just depends on what you want to do. If it's personal project, what you feel like doing.
yeah. And the thing is as well, the word boring means different things to people. If it's boring because, you know, if it's boring because you're just not interested in the subject matter, then, you know, maybe, uh, yeah, it's fine to drop it, uh, or push through because you want to do it for the sake of learning. But if you're bored because of deeper issues, maybe because you just don't have any, you lose your passion or interest in a way, then I think that could be a very personal issue, which depends on the individual. But yeah, that could be a good topic to discuss on a longer session. But Bima asks as well, do you guys have minimum amount of budget from a client before you engage in a longer business conversation? I'll be honest, I usually don't let them know about my budget until I find out about the project, because it's not always about the money for me. There's a minimum amount I'd work for, but if a project is really that interesting, then I'd still want to work on it, and after discussing it with the client. But yeah, I don't really have a minimum budget, to be honest.
Yeah, it really depends on whether the project is good or not, if it will add something to the resume, or if it's something that just looks fun. You know, like there are things that goes into the goes into the consideration when picking a job. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Yeah.
not just about the budget or money.
Yeah. I'm actually of the idea that, people say never work for free, or never do something so cheaply. I think it really is quite situational.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so black and white, and it just depends on the priorities in your career right now.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, I am very precious about my time and what kind of projects I take on, I still try to see if there's any projects that could serve a bigger purpose for me in the long run. Maybe it is a good client, or maybe it is a project that will allow me to focus and practice on something.
Yeah.
So it's never so simple. Oh, it's getting a bit hot in my room here actually, with the heater on. But
Your
that's
sketch is
just,
getting good.
I don't know, man. I feel like I should have gotten more references. I've kind of dug myself into a hole by using the reference images that I have, which is like mostly like dome shape, so it's kind of boring. I should have taken references of Indonesian villages too, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree
Hey
with you,
Daniel.
Bima. Yeah, and hey, Daniel. And I agree with you, Bima, that sometimes the clients do sell that dream to us for a very menial amount.
Yeah,
But
actually, when a client tries to sell too much of their project, it kind of makes me feel iffy in a way.
yeah,
Like like when they try to make the project sound really big or huge.
mm. But once again, I think it does go into the idea of what your priorities are. Even
Yeah.
if it is, you can say, beneath you at the start, it is an opportunity. I've had to work some projects where I was literally working on weeks for way below minimum wage, and partially that was because
Mhm.
I was not very good back then, so I took a long time. But I realized that I just needed the experience, and it was better than just not doing anything at all. And yeah, it was just a stepping stone. So there are moments where we need to learn to put our pride aside for a while and just think of the bigger picture. That's my
Yeah.
thoughts, at least.
Yeah, it really depends on the client, the project, the
Mm.
attitude of the client,
Yeah,
the budget. It's a lot of consideration.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
really
I, I
is.
think I, I think it's not a there's no clear cut answer to it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's also a really good topic of conversation because the uh, prevailing thought is that never do work for free and never do it for I guess a rate that seems like slavery like amounts, but it's it can depend. I will just say that much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's gonna be a good topic of conversation for next time or a different podcast. We're actually thinking of separating our sketch sessions with a proper conversation one some other time as well, just so we don't divide our attention way too much. I think that would be really nice.
Mhm.
And yeah, your stream is flickering. I think it has something to do with you changing your bitrate, Ken.
Oh,
It's flickering
that's
a lot.
weird.
Yeah.
No, I didn't change the bitrate.
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
No, no. It's oh, it's back again. Let me try this.
Hmm. Yeah. I.
Thank you guys for joining us at the drawing table.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and please look forward
Yeah.
to the next one. And please give us suggestions, message us on Facebook, or yeah, just give us your comments and thoughts because it's really important to us.
Mm-hmm. We're very open to receiving feedback or even just to talk about people. Not
Talk
about people,
about
with
people.
people. Yeah, talk with people about other people. Uh, yeah, we're always up for that. So you can also shoot us an email at thedrawingtablepodcast@gmail.com or on our Facebook page. And yeah, our Instagram, which we still haven't updated yet, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be focusing more on the podcast again soon, especially after I finish my contest entry and Ken hopefully gets his house more
Manage.
business with his house, more managed.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. We're really excited to kick it into gear.
So yeah, this is my sketch, the end result for the day. Maybe you can zoom in
Nice.
on yours.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
So I mean, I did more this time. There's some interesting solutions, but I definitely think I made the mistake of not finding more references. What about you, Ken? What are your thoughts
Yeah,
on your
same.
take?
I should have used more references
Mm.
because
But
yeah, go on.
oh, uh, I think we can definitely refine our sketches soon. We might do one of those cooking show things where we do it almost like behind the scenes, maybe, and like maybe talk through it on the podcast so it doesn't drag on for too long.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're still figuring the ins and outs and how long these kinds of sketch sessions would take. And Daniel asked as well the backstory of your work, which we did cover earlier in the video, and unfortunately, it is also the end of the podcast as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you can try rewatching the stream,
Mhm. I
Daniel.
think we
But
talked about it briefly in the first 5 minutes, so it shouldn't take too long
yeah,
for you to catch up.
yeah. So we apologize for not having the time. But yeah, with that said, we'll figure something out in finishing this piece, and we apologize for the technical difficulties. And yeah, just be sure to stay updated by following us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, or I think that's it actually.
Yeah,
At
that's
the
it.
Drawing Table Podcast. Oh, and our YouTube channel, of course.
Mhm.
And yeah, we hope to finish this sketch soon and bring you guys another exciting new episode.
Cool.
So yeah, from the Drawing Table Podcast, thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you again next time.
Bye.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks
See you
again
guys.
for thanks again for joining the stream.
Mhm.